Hello, in this math video, I will do a GED math video regarding side lengths using area or perimeter. So, like I said in the other video, on the real exam, you are given a list of all the formulas you need, but I'm going to write down the formulas because we'll need to use these formulas to do these specific three questions. So, yeah, so Formula One, you probably seen it or heard of it. Area of a rectangle. You have a rectangle, and here's your length, and here's your width, right? So the area of a rectangle is length times width. Question two, the per or not question two, formula two, formula of rectangle. Here's your length, and here's your width. So the perimeter of a rectangle is 2L plus 2W. And then the area of a triangle is uh, base times height over 2. And then question four is area of a trapezoid. So imagine you had this little trapezoid, right? And then here you have this little height. These two sides are parallel, and then you have these legs. I call it leg A and leg B. And then these are not legs, these are side length C and side length D. So the area of a trapezoid is basically, just remember this. You add up the two parallel legs times it by the height. This is the height. And then it's all over 2. So don't worry about C and D. You might have to use those values to find the perimeter, but the area is basically um, add up the two parallel legs. So leg A plus leg B, these are parallel, times it by the height, and then all over 2. And then lastly, perimeter of a trapezoid. You basically, perimeter, you remember perimeter just means adding up all the side lengths. So perimeter of a trapezoid. It's going to be A plus B plus C plus D. Okay, so rectangle is pretty simple. Area of a rectangle is length times width. Perimeter of a perimeter of a rectangle is 2L plus 2W, or if you can remember, if you forget, you just add up all the side lengths, right? Is it? Yeah. And then area of a triangle, this is something you have to know or memorize, is base times height over 2. And then area of a trapezoid is just something you have to know, memorize. But a little trick is you add up the two parallel legs, times it by the height, and then divide it by 2. And then lastly, the perimeter of a trapezoid is A plus B plus C plus D. Or if you can't remember that, just add up all the side lengths, right? Think of it as a fencing, right? Okay, so go ahead and pause the video if you need to write down those formulas, but I am going to clear and start with question. Okay, so question one says, consider a rectangle with width of 6 centimeters. If the area of a rectangle is 258 square centimeters, or you could think of it as centimeters square, right? So if you want, you can say cm square. Then find the perimeter of a rectangle. Okay, so when you have these kind of questions without an image, I would draw the correct image. So we're dealing with a rectangle. So go ahead and draw a rectangle, and then this length would be your length, and then this length would be your width. And what I would do is if they ask you for a specific thing or if they give you something specific, in this case, they give us an area of a rectangle and they want to know the perimeter, write the formulas. So, or first, let's fill in what we have. So consider a rectangle with the width of 6 centimeters. So our width is 6. Do we know our length? No. So this is where the two formulas, we're going to have to use these two formulas. So one of the formulas we're talking about are dealing with area. So what is the area of a rectangle? It is length times width. And the area of a rectangle is 258. And we don't know what the length is, but we do know that the width is 6. So that'd be 6L equals to 258. And then solve for L by dividing both sides by 6. And then 258 divided by 6 is 43 centimeters. Okay, so we did that length by using this formula, area equals length times width, and then fill in what we had. They gave us an area, which is 258. They gave us width, which is 6, but they didn't give us the length. We can solve it by dividing both sides by 6. So now we have learned that our length is going to be 43 centimeters. Okay, 43 centimeters by 6 centimeters. The 6 was given. It says find the perimeter of the rectangle. So what is the formula of a perimeter of a rectangle? It is 2L plus 2W, right? We can do this now because we have the length and we have the width. So it's 2 times L or 2 times 43 plus 2 times W or 2 times 6 and put it all together. That would give me 2 times 43 is 86. 2 times 6 is 12. That gives me a total value of 98. Okay, so that would be letter D. So yeah, it's not too bad if you know the formulas and just what I would do is if you aren't given an image, draw the image and then fill in the blanks, fill in what you have, and then write down your formulas that are being talked about. So in this case, we are dealing with areas. So I wrote down the formula of a rectangle is length times width, and then we're talking about perimeter of a rectangle, which is 2L plus 2W. Okay, so that would be letter D. Okay, question 2 says, consider the trapezoid. Here we have a trapezoid. If the perimeter of a rectangle, if the perimeter of a trapezoid is 59 feet, um, and the sum of the non-parallel side lengths is 23, then what is the area of a trapezoid? Uh-oh. So this can be it could be a bit confusing. So here we have a trapezoid and it's already drawn, right? Um, they know that the height is 9. These are parallel legs and we don't know the length. And we don't even know what these length is, right? Maybe we can call this side length C and then side length D. Okay, so what I would do is write down the formulas that we are talking about. So what are we talking about? They want to know what is the area of the trapezoid. So that's a formula we need to know. What is the area of a trapezoid? It is basically adding up the two parallel legs. So it would be A plus B times it by the height and then all over 2. So I'm just going to write the formulas down before I plug anything else. And what other formulas should we use? They tell us that the perimeter of a trapezoid is 59 feet. So yeah, so what is the formula for trapezoid? Well, it's basically adding up all the sides. So it's basically A plus B plus C plus D, right? Okay, so I have my two formulas and then I'm gonna write down what we have. So maybe I'm gonna start with this formula. I don't know why. Uh, yeah, the reason why I'm going to start with this formula because I don't know what a plus b is. I do know what the height is, which is 9, right? But I don't know what a and b, and I don't even know what c and d. So let's use this formula first. So it's going to be, if I use this formula, they specifically said that the perimeter of a trapezoid is 59. So I'm going to replace this p with 59. Do I know what a and b is? Kind of. Well, they specifically said that c plus d, um, if the perimeter of a trapezoid is 59 and the sum of the non-parallel sides. So the non-parallel sides are c and d, right? A and b are parallel sides. They said that was 23. So I can replace c plus d with 23, right? And I still don't know what a plus b is, so I'm just going to write it out. And then what I'm going to do is solve for a plus b, these two parallel legs, by subtracting 23 from both sides. So what is 59 minus 23? 36. So that's 36 equals a plus b. Okay, then what is the area of a trapezoid? So let's go back and use this formula. I think we have everything we need now, right? We don't need to know what specifically the length of A is, or specifically what the length of B is. We just need to know what is the sum of A plus B. We just found it from this equation, which we said was 36. So it's going to be A equal, and then you can replace A plus B with 36, times it by the height, which is 9, and then it's all over 2. So what's 36 times 9 all over 2? That is 162. Right? So my area is going to be 162 feet square. Okay, question 3. Okay, question 3 says a farmer wants to construct a triangular field for planting crops. The total length of fencing he has is 50 meters. The farmer knows that the area suitable for planting the crops should be 60 square meters as shown below. What is the height of the triangular field? So here we are dealing with a right triangle, or one of them. I say a one, this triangle here is a right triangle because of this box symbol. And yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let's find the perimeter of the triangle. Let's call this this unknown length B. Okay. So perimeter is basically when you add up all the side lengths. So one of our side lengths is 22. One of my other side lengths is 18. And then this third side, I call it side length B. So I could find this unknown side length because they tell us that perimeter is given as 50. So it's going to be 50 equals 22 plus 18 plus B. And then what is 22 plus 18? 40. And then subtract 40 from both sides. So, oops, sorry. What's 50 minus 40? 10. What is the height of the triangular field? So there's no way we could figure out just figuring out that this is 22, 18, and now this length here is 10. There's no way we can, yeah. So what you're going to do is use a formula, a known formula that you can use that hopefully will give you your unknown. So what are we dealing with? We are dealing with triangle. And I already used the formula for the perimeter of a triangle, but I haven't used the formula for area of a triangle. So what is the area of a triangle? It is base times height over 2. Do I know my base? No. Do I know my height? Wait, actually, we do know my base, which is 10. Sorry. So it is 10. And then do I know my height? No. And then it's all over 2. So area of a triangle is going to be 10h over 2, or that simplifies as that was 10 divided by 2, 5h. And then we can solve for h because they give us one more information. They're saying that has the total length of the fencing it has 50. So does that help you with my area? No. So the area of this is base times height over 2. So let's see here. Oh, they specifically said that the area of a tri of this triangle is 60. So we're going to replace this A with 60. And then we have 5 times h, and then solve for h by dividing both sides by 5. And I get a height of 12 meters. Okay. So yeah, I just use the formulas I know and then fill in the blanks if you have any, and then just try to solve for unknown. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to stop here.